Blink once and the dual meet season is over, but with the madness that happened at 174 pounds this weekend and a couple of other interesting results, it sure made for one crazy final dual meet weekend. For the full recap, let's stop stalling and start talking wrestling. What's going on, wrestling fans? My name's Josiah, and welcome to Fanco Wrestling, your source for college wrestling news and discussion. And welcome to this week's wrestling headlines. I want to invite you, if you're new here, to hit the subscribe button for constant weekly wrestling news. I'm trying to reach 25,000 subscribers by the time the Big Ten Championships roll around, which is just around the corner. And I want to give you a reminder at 174 pounds that these were the rankings going into this weekend. And if you know what happened this weekend, then you know that there's going to be quite some changes to these rankings, because starting off with Hayden Hidlay getting pinned on Friday night by Clay Lout. Kind of unexpected. Nobody really expected something like that to happen. And to set the stage here, Hidlay, up until this point, had never lost an ACC match. He's lost other matches, but not ACC matches. He never lost a home dual meet, and he had a streak in dual meet wins dating back a couple of years. This was crazy. But with Lout, he was able to score off of Hidlay's shot, throw him to his back, and stick him at home. It was crazy, and something that Hidlay was going to have to bounce back for, because he, coming up on Sunday, was going to have Mekhi Lewis. And we know in that match, it came down to overtime between those two. It was 1-1 going into the overtime period. And it was quite the exciting match. And at that point, Hidlay was able to hit an arm spin for right to a single leg for the takedown to win in overtime. And boy, was it such an exciting match. You see here from the video, I was at the match side, and like the place was going wild. Like unlike any environment I've really been in. It's so exciting, that matchup. But this match, anyway, propelled NC State to a victory over Virginia Tech. It was part of what helped propel them to that victory. And State ended up strong out the gate overall, but Virginia Tech ended up mounting a little comeback in the middle and made the match a bit close. But in the end, NC State was able to pull off with a couple of wins at the end that secured the victory for them, 21-10. And the other thing that happened at 174 pounds, because we're not done at 174, as wild as this weight was this weekend. Yeah, we had Hidlay, but we also had Kemerer and Labriola. Kemerer of Iowa, Labriola of Nebraska, a top, like, almost a top 5 matchup. Labriola is number 6 in the rankings. Kemerer's number 2. And these two started flying off right off the gate. I mean, there were crazy scrambles, and the scrambles in this match were like some of the best I've seen this year. Super exciting to watch. But in the first period, Kemerer put Labriola to his back, and then Labriola hit a reversal, putting Kemerer to his back, and it looked like he was going for the pin or at least a couple of back points off that reversal, but time ran out. So with each of them getting an escape at the beginning of the second and third periods, it was 3-3 leading into the last minute of this match, when Labriola was able to score off of Kemerer's shot and threw him onto his back again, looking like he was gonna get some back points. Didn't end up getting any back points, but did end up winning that match. 5-4 was the final score. And because of that, that makes Michael Labriola this week's Defensope Wrestler of the Week. There were a lot of great candidates this week, but Labriola was the guy who I think really showed grit in just the amount of scoring positions, times he could have been scored on, and ended up pulling out and getting back on top to score himself some points. Was impressive. That earns him the Defensope Wrestler of the Week. And it's honestly one of the matches that kept the dual meet so close between Iowa and Nebraska. So, of course, Drake Ayala made his return at 125, and he earned a victory. Then Caleb Young earned a win over Peyton Robb in an upset, based on rankings. That was an upset, and it shows that he's like really making his kind of season comeback. Had a couple rough losses, but he seems to be coming back strong. Taylor Venz pinned Assad, and Schultz beat Warner on his senior night match. Anthony Cassiope, though, closed out this duel with a win to give Iowa the win over Nebraska, 20-15, and boy, was it closer than any fans were really expecting. So that was 174 and everything that happened there, but let's talk about 165 pounds, because Evan Wick, at this point, seems to be the clear number one at the weight at 165 pounds. He earned his second win over Shane Griffith this season. He beat him earlier at the Cliff Key in Las Vegas 6-2, and then he beat him in a dual meet this weekend 6-1. A pretty commanding lead for the most part. Also this season, Wick has beat Kemerer and Anthony Valencia, who he majored. So he still hasn't faced Hidlay or O'Toole or Hidlay, and there's still a lot of matchups that we're going to be looking forward to seeing come the NCAA championships, which is just going to make wrestling that much more exciting. And, you know, O'Toole could be considered a number one guy too. And he's had some great victories this year, some great ranked wins, but like comparing the two, Wicks are just a tad bit stronger based on the rankings. And that gives us the hierarchy at 165 pounds. We have Evan Wick, who beat Shane Griffith twice. Griffith, who beat Hidlay at Cliff Key in Las Vegas. Hidlay, who beat Marinelli in the dual meet. Marinelli, who beat Hidlay in the dual meet. And then Hidlay, who just recently beat Ramirez of Cornell. It's a crazy hierarchy. And yes, I know there's some interesting other results in there, like Ramirez beating Griffith at the beginning of the season. And then you throw in like Jake Wenzel and O'Toole and Hartman and Brady Berge. And boy, this weight is sure exciting. And Brian Meyer even, who just beat Anthony Valencia over the weekend as well. And Hidlay was able to pull off this pin, and then he hit this dance move. There's been a lot of celebrating this weekend, so he hit this dance move, and then interestingly enough, Tariq Wilson hit the same dance, and I've seen that this is called the Griddy, Griddy, and I would love for somebody to please explain to me what the heck that dance is. And it makes me wonder, like, am I out of it already? Am I getting that old where I just don't know what these dance moves are? Is this from some music video or some TikTok dance? If you know what the heck the Griddy is, please let me know, because I guess I'm just out of it. And that moves us to the regular season champions this season. And NC State, and I'm going to give you all of the regular season champions, starting off with the ACC with NC State. Now, they technically claimed this on Friday against UNC, but really, even though it wasn't an ACC affiliated result, NC State was awarded this on Sunday against Virginia Tech with their 21-10 win. In the Big 12, Iowa State ended up earning a victory on last Wednesday over Mizzou, 17-16. This was an awesome duel meet. David Carr earned his 50th straight win. It came down to the last couple of matches. Younger Bastida ended up earning a sudden victory win over Elam, an upset in that match, earning Iowa State. Match didn't clinch the duel, but it essentially propelled them to victory over Mizzou. And Big 12 has been wild this year between those two teams in Oklahoma State and Oklahoma. But in the Big 10, Penn State claimed the Big 10. In the Ivy League, Cornell won the Ivy League portion of the EIWA. Now, the EIWA is a bit weird because you had Penn, Lehigh, Cornell, Princeton. All of them kind of had wins and losses to each other. So I haven't seen like any really official like EIWA champs results, but Cornell won the Ivy League portion of that. In the MAC, Central Michigan won the West, Lock Haven won the East, and then the Pac-12, Arizona State won. And then finally, the SoCon, App State ended up winning. I wasn't a huge fan of it. I'm more of a Campbell fan, but App State did win the SoCon, which leads us to our top 10 teams. We finally have the top 10 dual meet teams of the year. Penn State at number 1, 17-0, who beat Iowa. Just behind them, their only loss being to Penn State. Now, Michigan and NC State, I would love to see these two teams face off so we could really get to know what these final dual meet results would be, because I think they could be intermittently flip-flopped at 3 and 4. Iowa State ends at 5, Ohio State 6, Wisconsin at number 7 with their big win over the weekend over Cornell. Virginia Tech falls behind Cornell, who had a loss to them earlier this season. And then Mizzou finally ends at number 10. It's been a crazy dual meet year so far, and I would love to ask you the question of the day. What was your favorite dual meet of the year? Was it NC State and Iowa at the collegiate duels? Was it Penn State and Iowa in the crazy Big 10 matchup? Could it have been NC State and Virginia Tech just from this weekend? Let me know what your favorite dual meet was down below, and until then, I'll see you on next week's Wrestling Headlines.